Hi everyone, want to see how I double bottled my crate? This is the video. Subtle hint who this video is brought to you from. We have the AirMaks Arms Krait, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now. I've got the stock retractor at the back and my Eaglevision moderator is off for the time being. I'm just about to take the bipod off, weigh it, and I'll pop the weight up on screen here for you. So what Konstantin, AirMaks Arms, and Chris at CDRGuns, what they've sent me is a package here, and we have a double bottle adapter with the relevant O-rings, the cap, and a second 300cc carbon fibre bottle. Although the AirMaks Krait do it running at exactly 11.5 foot-pounds, as you'll have seen from videos before, efficiency is fantastic. When I saw an AirMaks post on Facebook showing a double bottle setup on a Katran, I thought, I wonder if that's available for the Krait. A few messages later, the incredible team at AirMaks Arms and Chris at CDRGuns have sent me one to test. And as yet, there is no video of this being fitted. So guess what this is? First things first, components is a 300cc carbon fibre bottle with female thread. There's obviously no valve in here because there's just a thread protector insert. We have the yoke itself, which is one piece assembled, and the two bottle threads, as you can see, have got O-rings fitted already. The pin on the back is Katran specific to prevent the yoke from rotating when assembled. There's also a cap to screw on to retain the yoke that has 4 different holes there, capstan holes to tighten the whole thing up. A pair of O-rings. I'm using Eaglevision silicone grease, and Chris said I'll just need a little dab on the O-rings. It's not an excessive amount. First things first, we've got 280 bar in the bottle, so I'm going to use an Allen key in this little Allen hole here and depressurize the cylinder. This is going to take some time because I've got a full 280 bar. I don't know if you heard that, but that sounded like a sort of rumble and then a cough from the barrel itself, from the muzzle. So that's completely empty. Tighten that back up, just finger tight, and holding the short end of the Allen key. No excessive force required to empty the air or tighten the plug back up. Next, I want to dismount the bottle and then the bottle thread here. If need be, I'll detach the under bottle rail extension, and if need be, I'll remove the barrel shroud to get a good hold of the bottle. First things first, I'll use a TheraBand, and this is basically for physiotherapy, and this is an old one, it's a bit decrepit, so I'll use this to get a grip of the bottle and see if it'll undo as is. Yeah, straight away undoing, and the bottle thread is undoing as well. Okay, so you can see that clear enough. There's a little bit of grit on the O-ring there. I'll give that a little wipe. That O-ring will be getting replaced, I believe. I'm taking a 4mm Allen key in one of the holes and just applying a little bit of pressure, and then that unscrews very easily. Okay, so that's one bottle. So that's the male thread that screws into the bottle and the male thread that screws into the face of the rifle action. Looking ahead to reassembly, all I've done is wipe off a little bit of grit from the inside of here. I'll be reapplying lightly silicone grease. I'll reapply a light amount of silicone grease on this O-ring and on these threads. I'm going to screw this back in, and then I'm going to remove this O-ring, apply one of the 2 thinner ones, then the yoke goes on, then the other O-ring, and then this cap screws on to the whole thing. That's how the assembly will look, and then it's going to have obviously a pair of bottles on here. Okay, so the nozzle I took off the front of the action. I've removed the O-ring from there. I've given that a clean. I'll give it a light silicone grease, and that's going to go back on. The thick O-ring I took off was for a bottle, so that's now going to get replaced with these two slimmer O-rings. They'll go one either side of this splitter, this yoke, and the two bottle connections have already got fatter O-rings on them ready. Applying a small amount of silicone grease, so that goes back over the nozzle that came off the rifle. I'll screw this back in the face of the action. And nip that up. These two replacement O-rings, and one is going to go on the face of the yoke and one on the back of the yoke. Drop that into place. I'll apply a small amount on the threads as well. Okay, I'll grease the second O-ring and pop it into the face, into the recess. And then I'm going to apply a small amount of grease on the inside of the female thread on this cap. This sequence speeded up shows me fitting the yoke and tightening the cap. Then I decided, oh, hang on, these bottles are going to be too close to the rail extension and too far away from the barrel shroud. So you can see this stainless bar, that's to prevent the yoke here from rotating on the AirMaks Katran, which this yoke is originally intended for. So I've reassembled everything so far. I'm now going to grease this O-ring and thread and the other one and thread, and then pop the two bottles on. And I've gone with the yoke inverted, if you like, so that the bottles should be close to the shroud, but I don't want the bottles too close to the fore-end extension rail for bipod and Picatinny and so on. This is how it looks at the moment. I've tightened the cap here with Allen key through one of the holes like that. Having applied silicone grease a little to the first O-ring and the threads, I'm now doing the same on the second O-ring and threads for the second bottle. And I'm keeping silicone grease well clear of the inlet hole for the air as well. So the fella assembled, the central spindle has been tightened up. I've applied a little silicone grease to the O-ring and the threads for the right-hand bottle and the left-hand bottle. So I'll now fit the two bottles. To tighten the bottles, if in doubt, I've got a TheraBand, which is great for gripping bottles and bottle caps and such like. Time for the second bottle. Again, I've applied a tiny amount of silicone grease on the O-ring and a tiny amount on the face of this bottle where it will contact the O-ring. Just going to screw things on by hand. Okay, there's a little bit of extra grip with a TheraBand. That seems solid, so I'm going to have a look from the front to eyeball and check that these are both level, that they're not rotated. That looks good. For thoroughness, I'll see what it weighs now, minus the bipod, of course. That rather attractive beastie weighs 9 pounds now, all in, without the bipod, but with the extension rail under the bottles, with obviously twin bottles and the yoke, the Arkan Optics Zulu's ZHD 520R and battery and sling, neck sling, 2 magazines and the magazine holder. So all in, 9 pounds. There's just the Eaglevision moderator to add to that. What I'm going to do now is proof of the pudding. I'll go and fill it up and check there's no leaks. I added a touch of silicone grease to the O-ring beneath this grub screw, slowly topped up the rifle through a succession of stages up to nearly 300 bar. And it held this 290 bar that you can see here. It held that for a week perfectly. And yep, I've now been using it out on the rats on my local permissions. Perfect. And the twin bottles rest perfectly on the left and right sides of the Bog ultralight clamp. Hope that was interesting for you all. I'm already editing my Zulu ZHD 520R pest control videos, and it says videos plural. And I'm about to record the double crossman pump up video. So, something from the 60s and 90s for you.